Hi, I'm Joe Sorge, and welcome to the Family Law Report, where we examine the problems and challenges facing our family law system. On the show today, we have Los Angeles attorney Richard Fine, who will tell us about his experiences after revealing that the LA Superior Court judges were essentially taking very large bribes. The story illustrates what can happen when one judge is allowed to abuse his or her power to cover up corruption, and when an activist attorney bucks the system. In part one, we will learn about what led up to the discovery that the judges were essentially being bribed. In part two, we will learn how this unassuming, mild-mannered gentleman ended up in solitary confinement for over a year because he spoke up about corruption in the courts. Yes, you heard me correctly, solitary confinement. Richard, thank you for appearing on the Family Law Report.
It's my pleasure, Joe.
So tell our viewers about the type of work you did when you first started practicing law.
I spent 4 years with the United States Department of Justice Antitrust Division in the Foreign Commerce section, which was the international part. As part of that, I ran the largest grand jury in the country, going against the international pulp paper newsprint cartel. And then subsequent to that, I indicted General Motors and Ford for price fixing. Then I was recruited by the city of Los Angeles to go after the former mayor for corruption. I became the special counsel to the Governmental Efficiency Committee, and we nailed Sam for corruption. And then I founded the first municipal antitrust division in the United States for the city of Los Angeles.
Tell us about suing the County of Los Angeles for not paying out the child support funds that it was collecting.
A person came to me by the name of John Silva, and he was divorced from his wife. They were on a friendly basis. He was paying his custody payments into the district attorney's office because his wife had been on welfare for 2 weeks, and that required him to make the payments to the district attorney.
Just to clarify for our viewers, the counties will reimburse themselves for collecting back child support in cases where the state had made welfare payments previously. Fair enough, but as I understand it, your client caught up on his back payments, his wife went off welfare, and yet he had to continue paying directly to the district attorney. Did they pass those payments on to his wife?
His wife was not getting the payments, and she asked him about it, and he said, I've been paying it, and we started checking into it, and I found out that what actually was occurring is that the district attorney was taking the payments and holding them.
Holding them? I thought child support enforcement was all about the best interests of the children, to make sure the kids don't go hungry. What was their excuse?
They gave no reason. There was no reason given. They just straight out withheld the money without reason. And the only thing that we could determine is that they gained the interest because they were investing the money while they were keeping it. So they were making interest on the money. So they made interest and they withheld it from the women and children. It was a straight out violation of the law.
So what did you do?
Well, we filed a lawsuit. We did the discovery. We went into trial. And the district attorney came in and he admitted he was holding the payments. There was absolutely no question about what he was doing, no question that it was illegal. And then the county moved to have the case dismissed. And the case got dismissed. And I couldn't understand why. Normally, there would have been a judgment in our favor, not a dismissal.
Let me guess. The judge was somehow profiting off of this.
I subsequently found out that the judges were receiving money above and beyond their state compensation from the county.
California judges are state employees, not county employees, correct?
Yes.
Okay, including family court judges?
Yes.
Okay, but who sets the judges' salaries?
The salaries of the judges are set by the state legislature, and their salaries are paid by the state of California.
So in this case, where the judge wrongly dismissed it, your client was suing LA County for holding on to child support funds. He wasn't suing the state, and yet the county, the defendant in this case, was giving the judge hearing the case supplemental income. Explain to us why that's wrong.
They started paying them $30,000 a year extra, $50,000 a year extra, and now it's $57,000 a year extra. An LA County judge is now making, with benefits and everything, approximately $250,000 a year. That is more than the Chief Justice of the United States Supreme Court is making. That money throughout California is approximately $400 million.
The county was giving them $400 million a year, and the citizens are supposed to expect them to remain impartial when it comes to hearing cases about the county?
In California, we have two things in the California Constitution. One is Article 6, Section 19, which says that the state legislature is the only person that can prescribe the compensation of the judges. And then we have Article 6, Section 17, that says that the judges cannot take any fees or fines for their personal use. That's the state law. The federal law says, and this is the intangible right to honest services, that a judge cannot take a payment from anyone that's appearing in front of him. Well, the county is appearing in front of the judge, and the county is paying off the judge. So they were violating a federal law also. Now, there's one other interesting little thing, and that is the pay of the county supervisors by the LA County Charter is geared to the compensation of the judges. So by paying the judges this extra money as compensation, the LA supervisors were raising their own compensation.
So they were scratching each other's backs, and the taxpayers were getting screwed as usual. You know, we need to start naming names on this show. I would think you could recuse a judge for such a conflict of interest, but I've heard that it's very difficult to recuse a judge even when they've been taking money from a party in the case. Is that true?
Absolutely. And the reason for it is that, number one, a lot of these judges, in fact, most of them, will not get off the case. And in California, I really don't know of any judges that are following the law. So the process then is that when the judge doesn't get off the case, in California, you have to take a writ. That writ goes to the Court of Appeals, who summarily denies it. They don't even look at it. They just write the word deny. It then goes to the California Supreme Court on what you call a petition for review. The California Supreme Court summarily says denied.
Richard, it sounds like we're living in a dictatorship. Did anyone sue the counties to try to fix this?
In 2006, the Judicial Watch basically took the concept of my complaint and filed it in a case called Sorge versus the County of Los Angeles. The Court of Appeals held that LA violated Article 6, Section 19 of the California Constitution, and that case became the law. Subsequently to that, what happened is that the judges, through the California Judicial Council, wrote a law called SBX 211. And what that law said in Section 5 is that it gave retroactive immunity from criminal prosecution, civil liability, and disciplinary action to all the judges who took the illegal money and all the government employees, which means the county supervisors, who gave the judges the illegal money. It passed the state Senate in, I think, 1 day, and it passed the state assembly in 2 days, and it was signed by Governor Schwarzenegger within about 5 days.
So where does the situation stand now? Did this state bill make it legal for the counties to pay the supplement to the judges going forward?
See, what the bill actually said is that anyone that was getting the payments as of July 1st, 2008, those will be judges that were sitting in office at that point in time. Well, all those judges are basically gone.
But the county is continuing to make these payments?
The county is continuing to make the payments. In fact, the payments still violate the law, but they're letting them exist because the legislature should solve the problem, and the legislature hadn't solved the problem. So these payments are no good any way you cut it. So there's nothing that is saying at this point in time that these payments are really good or that they're legal as they stand today.
Well, if the payments aren't legal, then they're criminal, correct?
The criminal part of this is the word bribe, because the only criminal part that we're dealing here under California law was a bribe, which is paying a judge money to make a decision. So these judges knew that when they were getting money from the County of Los Angeles and any other county that was appearing in front of them, they were taking a bribe. There was no innocence here. If you go back to, shall we say, to The Godfather, if he gave money to the judge and he comes up in front of the judge, it's clearly a bribe. It's no different with respect to the county.
You know, one of our Facebook followers once compared the courts to the mafia, and another follower jokingly said that the comment was an insult to the mafia. You know, our judges don't see it this way. They think they're somehow above bias and corruption. Well, newsflash, judges have interpreted the Constitution to mean that they are a new class of superhumans who have the ability to divide their brains into secret compartments, hitherto unknown to neuroscience. Crazy. Well, that concludes part one of our interview with Los Angeles attorney Richard Fine. In part two, we're going to learn how his legal challenge to the situation embarrassed the judges to such a degree they used their power to put this 70-year-old gentleman in solitary confinement for over a year. If you want to find out what happened, check out part two. I'm Joe Sorge, and this is the Family Law Report. Thank you.